excited for this
This what?
Panic at the Disco concert that we're gonna go to.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking rad, dude.
Ugh.
Hey, man, just remember,
When is
hydrate.
this?
I don't know.
Hydrate.
No.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Degrees. My name's Adrian,
And I'm Alex.
and today we have a special guest. Special guest, introduce yourself.
Hello. I wanted to say, and I'm Lynsey, but I didn't.
Every time.
I'm Lynsey Owens. I am a brand strategist and graphic designer by day and a wood elf wizard by night. I know both of you through a kind of a culmination of different friends, college friends and game friends, and here we are. So
Awesome, yeah. I met a lot of the people y'all know through Justin and John, which was like one of our original guests, like first round of guests. So I'm glad that like our kind of like word of mouth, like, hey, you want to be on the podcast, is kind of like reaching these expanses of other individuals.
absolutely. I was like, yes, please. So this is my second podcast interview ever in my lifetime. One of my goals in the next like 5 years of my business, I'm an entrepreneur, is to have my own podcast. So this is like a great step into the podcast world. So I'm just happy to be here.
No,
Awesome.
I didn't never thought we would ever actually have more than, I don't know, a week's worth of episodes.
Like
But here we are
time
too.
wise,
That's awesome.
I know. I guess that a week wouldn't have made sense, right? I think maybe 7 episodes is really what I was meaning.
Yeah, for sure.
Here we are, almost a
That's
year
awesome.
later.
Almost.
That's amazing.
Yeah, dude. When we hit that year mark, I don't know. What are we gonna do? We're gonna just like confetti and stuff. I don't know.
When
Yeah.
when is your year mark?
August 16th, I think. If I
Something.
Awesome. So did y'all start this, I guess, in quarantine as like a fun project?
yeah.
We did.
I love that.
We did.
I love that so much.
Adrian and I are very broken people, and I think the lack of human connection
Mhm.
drove us to be like, hey, let's do the thing. And we were like, cool, let's do the thing. And what's really funny is when I announced the thing, that's what got John like jumped back into like my Twitter feed, and I was like, oh yeah, we could do it. And then so here we are. Like legitimately, this is what has reconnected all of these people and like made new connections. And
Absolutely. I mean, because I probably haven't spoken to you, Alex, since college.
no,
And we won't talk about how long ago that was, but it was quite a while ago.
a few years. It's fine.
Yeah, just a few. Yeah.
It's a couple gray hairs ago.
Oh, Lord, yes.
You know, it's really
Adrian doesn't
funny.
know what those are yet, but you know.
I ran into somebody I saw in high school right after I moved back to Dallas, and I looked at her, and I was picking up like tickets to some show, Hello Dolly, because you do. And I looked at her, I was like, holy shit, you've got like real gray hair. And that was the first thing out of my mouth. Not, hey, not, it's so nice to see you. It was like, holy shit, we're old.
Yeah.
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 It was just like,
I feel you. You can't see mine because I dye it, but I got my first gray hair when I was 18. Okay, anyway, we are derailing.
That's
But
just
yeah. So side projects during quarantine. One of my side projects was diving deep into Animal Crossing. Like deep. Like we're coming up on 800 hours of playtime on Animal Crossing on the
Yes.
Switch. And I know, Adrian, you're kind
I'm
of
a
diving into
baby.
Animal Crossing world currently. I know.
I think it's like
I know.
20 hours, maybe a little bit more. And I
That's
went
awesome.
to one of your friends' islands, and they're just loaded with cool stuff. Stuff that like one item would be accumulative of everything on my island. So
Neat.
just
Yeah. Just know that she and I started playing at the exact same time, which was 1 week after it came out, which is like 1 week
my gosh.
post the first quarantine.
hmm
Yeah, we were 1 week in, maybe 2 weeks in. And I thought like, okay, this is how I'm going to reconnect with reality, you know, is like have this like alternate reality with my friends, and we would like hop on Discord and trade island stuff and, build all the things. And I mean, I still play every single day. So, which is a far cry from my my hobbies in the past, because as you know, I didn't really come into board gaming and gaming in general very early in life. This is something that I know John and Justin have kind of teased, like, oh my gosh, you need to hear Lynsey's story about how she got into games. Because I did not enjoy games of any sort when I was younger. And I'm talking like even in high school and going into college, I was not a game fan. I don't know why.
Like,
Well,
not even Monopoly
know.
or like Clue or just
So-
no games.
So I think a lot of it, if my mom listens to this, I'm sorry. But my mom specifically, with my parents, were not into games at all. So like we had, I don't know, like Dream Phone, when you're, in like elementary school. Adrian probably has no clue what
No,
that
what is that? Wow.
Well, it was a game that we played in elementary school, and it was peak mid 90s culture. Basically, you had this like purple phone, and you would like dial these, boys like, ooh, is my crush Brad that's hanging out at the mall? Like, it was kind of like Guess Who, but for dating, but for girls who were not dating appropriate, like age-wise. It was a very strange, like Barbie Mattel kind of realm. That was probably one of the first games I ever played. And it's not really a game, right, Alex? I mean, I'm sure you've probably
No, it was definitely a no, I would not say game. I think it was you know, when you're of a certain age, Adrian, right? And
when you play MASH and everything like that, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
but
Smash-
if this is just
Smash
like a boy
adjacent.
talking to you, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just the idea of somebody actually like wanting to have a phone conversation.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because, none of us actually had our own cell phones or texting or the internet, or this was pre AOL Instant Messenger, like all of that. But that's way far, way
The
far
phone
gone.
numbers did not have area codes on them.
No, it
They
was
were
like
just
555-2378, So that truly like that, and like maybe Connect Four and Checkers were like the games that lived in my house for the longest time. But honestly, my parents weren't into board games at all, so we really didn't play them except when I went to my grandparents' house, and we would play Sequence or like Dominoes or Mexican Train or like, Hearts and Solitaire.
old people
things like
game.
that. Old people games,
Right.
classic old people games, and they were wonderful. But my parents were like, oh, I'm so glad you're here that you could play with grandma and aunt while we do something else. And still to this day, I think that's what they prefer me and honestly, and Ryan, my husband, to be able to do when we have family come over, like entertain the family while we like make dinner. Because like I don't understand this game stuff. So I think I always grew up with this like atmosphere of playing games was not being productive. It was like a waste of time. I mean, my brother played video games, but it was like Star Fox or, Mission Impossible stuff, and that just wasn't really my jam. And I played a little bit of like Mario and things, but I didn't ever have any introduction to Dungeons and Dragons or truly any like board game, let alone an RPG, until I don't know, until after college.
Married into
So I definitely married into it. So Ryan, my husband, and I met in college in 2008, but we didn't start dating until 2012. And I think it was in the 2012 to 14, like the early, stages of us dating, even before we got engaged, where like Ryan really enjoyed board games, but could tell that I was really hesitant. But we wanted some activities to do together, and especially with our friends. Like we would spend a lot of time with Justin and his now wife, Allie. We wanted to have some fun activities to do together, but I was incredibly hesitant. Like, why are we playing games? Such a waste of time. Clearly just like mimicking what my also entrepreneur parents were like, why are you doing that when you could like build your business? They don't really have very healthy habits. So, we're trying to work on that like work-life balance as well. But I was very hesitant at wanting to play anything. I think I would much rather, like, I don't know, take a dance class, or which feels so foreign now that we're like kind of in COVID, but coming out of COVID, that feels like such a long time ago. But I had other hobbies and activities and things I wanted to do. But I really wanted to foster some type of, you know, activity that we could do as a couple with other friends. And I think my introduction to games was all like Monopoly and Catan and things that didn't feel fun to me. Like what are some of the first games that y'all played? I'm just curious. Like,
My family is big in Clue. Uh,
okay.
I think Clue. My dad likes board games. So like when I was growing up, we were always playing card games. Um, as morbid as it sounds, we brought a deck of cards while he was like in his medical induced coma after he had his heart attack, just so
Oh
we
wow.
had some sense of normalcy with my
Yeah.
dad in the same space,
No, I totally
just
get that.
oversharing for the day. And then, you know, Monopoly, Sorry, all the normal stuff from there.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't get into Dungeons and Dragons until I got to college either, and it was just because I happened to have friends, and then one thing leads to another, and you're like at Mad Hatter's, and somebody's playing Dungeons and Dragons. You're like, cool, I could do that, and then you
Yeah.
find some more people, and then you're playing Pathfinder, and then you get stuck in quarantine, and then you're playing two different games of Dungeons and Dragons and playing a Dungeons and Dragons podcast.
Yeah.
Who'd have saw that
It sounds like
coming?
it escalated.
Not me. Not me. Oh,
Yeah.
I was always a nerd. From the get go. It's right there. Remember going around the table with, I think it was like a Sega Genesis maybe, and we played Soul Calibur or Soul Blade. I think it was Soul Blade at the time. And then I won and I beat everybody. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just smashing buttons, but it was the
Yeah,
greatest
yeah, yeah.
feeling ever. And then
Right.
they like, I don't know, I we left and they said like, "Hey, Adrian said he had a really fun. He can have that system." Like I think like a month or two later, so I had that system. So I just kept playing, and then my uncle got me an Xbox, and then I just kept playing, and just people just kept giving me games, and I just kept playing them. Ah,
Like feed the beast.
Not even
yeah,
your fault.
and I never
Right. You
and I
just
never
fell into it.
stopped. It's just the board
Yeah.
game stuff came a little bit later when I guess I want to say like after my private school days, where it was just like I had time to relax with my family. I think it was like
Huh.
when I came back from college and I was going to college and I was staying home. We started getting good into board games because we were doing things as family and all that stuff. And mom got home and she'd
Yeah.
play half a round and fall asleep because she just got back from a 12-hour shift. So like that's
Oh
just what
yeah.
she does.
Right.
Um, so I mean, the board game part was just very family oriented, and then I just kind of like brought that kind of fervor for board games and video games just like to my friends when I moved back to Lubbock, and then I got all these people into Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm just like, because I just like drop it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, what about that? It's for nerds." I'm like, "Hell yeah, it's for nerds. Here's what it's about. You should play. You don't have to,
Yes.
but you can play." Like I'm not this like zealot where it's like you have to play. It's the one true thing, Like
Right.
it's what you make it. It's like my all girl campaign. They just had so much fun, and they weren't like it wasn't like very fight intensive, but they were just having a blast and like hanging out with each other and being a bunch of goofballs, and it was fun.
Awesome.
So I think just
Trying to recruit a pet, right? Trying to get some sort of pet, some sort of animal to be
uh
a part of their group.
I think
So cute.
yeah.
Is that not what they did, Adrian?
No, they pretended to. They started like, hey, we should pretend to be like harlots and
Oh, okay,
women
yeah.
of the
No, the
night,
other opposite way. Yeah, no, that's
and
normal
yeah,
too.
yeah, no,
Perfect.
that other
That's her
stuff.
hose.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and they were just laughing and being funny, and I'm like, I don't know what these guys are gonna do. Look, this is more girls than I've hung out with ever. Okay, just all I gotta say. So
That's amazing. Adrian, I know you said that you've always been a nerd. I've been a nerd too, just in a very different avenue.
oh,
Like I was in marching band again with Alex for a very long time. Like in college, you don't have to be in marching band. It's like something that you volunteer to do.
And you
But I
take
was,
up so much time to do it.
and I wasn't even a music major, y'all. Like
No.
I was a
I was
graphic
in color
design
guard.
major. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. But I was drum major in high school my senior year. Like I feel like that's like top nerd, like you're the queen of the nerds. But like in the band subsection,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
The drum.
And then I volunteered to do marching band 3 out of the 5 years I was in school in college. So, I mean, you just pick your poison. Yeah.
But you also said that your introduction was with Catan and Monopoly, which we all know is the most cutthroat of all board games. Friends are not made with Catan, okay?
No, they're not.
I turned
Friendships
into
are
a
ruined.
monster. I don't. Yeah. Michael says Michael will not play Catan with me unless it's my birthday. I am only allowed to play with him once a year.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what happens.
You're like, we're conquering the world. Kind of like Risk. You're just going to
Yeah.
take it all.
I have
There's something about the
modes.
strategy
Yeah.
and being cutthroat and
Yeah.
no.
I know. I totally understand. I do. So, I think as, kind of Adrian, what you were talking about, like board games really foster community, and it's something that you can do as a shared group. So, I think Ryan really wanted to, get some kind of like small introduction to board games because he knew I was hesitant. So, and he's the kind of person who loves to research all the options and then gives me like this gateway into the thing that he ultimately wants me to do, which the ultimate goal was not Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, we'll get there. That's been like a whole journey on its own. But the ultimate goal was to be able to have consistent board game nights with friends. And for me not to hate it and like want to poke my eyes out, and I'm a Taurus, I'm incredibly stubborn. So, it took like years of unlearning and years
Happy
of
birthday
like,
season.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So I've been 34 now for 6 days. But, he really approached me getting into board games in a very strategic way, which is so board game of him. He's like, okay, I want her to like this. But in order for her not to hate it, let's start with like a very visually interesting game, one that's maybe a cooperative that is like doesn't have very many rules so she doesn't feel overwhelmed. Maybe it's a 2-player. So he bought like a set of games, like Patchwork, which is a cute little like 2-player game where you're like putting these like puzzle pieces together to build this quilt, and Carcassonne, and a couple of other kind of entry-level like tile placement type of games that were not nearly as stressful as Catan, right? Because I didn't want to be cutthroat. I think I felt overwhelmed by like all of the rules and having other people already know all the rules, and then me feeling like I was an idiot for not being able to play well the first time I was playing it was just stressful for me. I mean, it's perfectionism at its finest, right? I'm like, if I'm not instantly good at something, I don't want to do it. So we're going to have to learn some new games together. And he was very, very intentional and strategic about how he introduced me into something that he ultimately wanted me to enjoy. And it worked because now I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons once a week. So like, I don't know. But yeah, the first couple of years. Oh, he's got a whole spreadsheet of all the games. Yeah. And now it's so funny because, a lot of my friends and family who know me just from, when I was younger, they're like, you play board games? I was just so against it. And now we've turned our dining room into basically a board game room. It has a dining table and a bar, but it's mostly board games. And we have friends and family and like neighbors come by and they're like, so you're like board game people? We have 2 IKEA shelves filled, not the Kallax, but like something similar. And they're just filled with board games. And I never in a million years would have told you that I would have been a board game person, let alone someone who now has played D&D for, 2.5 years. It's been a journey of love, I guess. the things you do for the person you love, right?
See, we needed you on the most recent, or one of the most recent episodes that we
that
we
hectic.
recorded about
She would not want to
relationships
come back.
That's true. You probably wouldn't want to come back. Okay. Once again, I will issue a formal apology for that episode because it just came out. Thank you for continuing to listen to Dungeons and Degrees. Ka-chow.
Ka-chow.
It's so
Okay.
bad.
I feel like I need to hear some of this, but I can go back and listen on my own time.
It's not out yet. You haven't missed anything.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
it'll
No.
be out on the time of recording. I mean, not the time of recording, but in time of recording 4 days. So.
Got it.
But
cool.
people will know what we're talking about if they've reached this far.
If you've continued, thank you.
Yeah, well, feature me. We'll check in and we'll talk about it later. But yeah, I think it really was. He approached it really well because he knew that like I had some barriers. Because I think I didn't want to waste my time either. I was like, if I don't instantly feel like I'm good at it and I don't enjoy it, then I'm not going to do it. But I think like every relationship, there's compromises. And it's something that I really, really enjoy now. And we play board games very regularly. Now that board game habit has gotten me into Switch games. So, I have put almost 800 hours into Animal Crossing, which started in quarantine. I've beaten Mario Odyssey on the Switch, which was the very first video game I've ever beaten in my entire life. And again, like, it's funny how, I don't know if y'all have experienced this or not, but like talking to your parents as an adult about things that you enjoy now versus like when you were younger, I still think my parents don't fully know who I am as an adult because, we don't live together. We don't spend as much time together. So the things that I tell them that I'm into, they're like, you're such a nerd. I'm like, I think I've always been a nerd. Like Adrian, you just pick your poison, but it has now grown into the game world. So much so to the point where like my dad texted me the other day. We were going to Justin and Allie's house to play board games. Now that we're like all vaccinated, we're like starting our Sunday afternoon board games again. And my dad was like, hey, what are you doing today? And I said, oh, we're going to play board games. And then he texted me later that evening thinking that I had played Dungeons and Dragons. And he was trying to be supportive, which was really sweet. But he said, hey, how was your D&D? Like, how did the Woodlands elf do? And I was like, you mean the wood elf wizard? It's so cute because he's like paying attention, but he got some of the phrasing wrong. But I love that he's trying to communicate and like connect on a level of nerd that he has zero understanding of. He's like an ex-football player. He does not to say that football players can't play, nerd games, but it's not in his, list of activities to do. So it was just cute. It's like, thanks, Dad. But we played board games today.
There's that new challenge of getting the parents into the board games. So version 2 of this perfection list or perfect list to get you into board games needs to incorporate the former athlete or the athletic type. Like you had baby nerd and now we've got like full nerd and now we've got to reach the like athletes.
The never nerd.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll ever happen. I don't. But I'm willing to try. I've tried to get my mom to play just like over holidays and stuff. And she's like, y'all have fun. Y'all, just have fun doing your thing. I know that it's not something she'll ever be into, but that's okay.
I tried one session with my mom and she lasted, I think, an hour. And then she was done and she said never again. And in fact, was so upset that I made her do it or asked her to do it. She spent a good part of the evening with my brother being like, I don't know why they play that. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I was like, if you only knew how much time we spent on the back end, like creating a character for you and like giving you a background, I don't think you'd be talking trash. But
yeah. Oh, that's
fine.
okay.
I
know. It's not everybody's cup of tea,
Fair.
But you play with your dad, is that right?
I did before I started working in real life with real people.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't want to go and like give him something.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so I haven't played with him for a while. I think we were talking about doing some sort of backstory, like a one-on-one DMing experience with him to see what, because he had such a good. So he has this like bard character who has no clue his like background, or he like doesn't understand like. So we were gonna explore Larry Scalafani's history.
I love that.
It's such a great
That's
name.
awesome.
Very cute.
Y'all should do that on the podcast.
Patreon exclusive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you just let me know. You just get it on Connect, and I'll be there. I'll be recording.
Yeah.
I'll level things out. I'll drop in the spooky music. I'll be your
Ooh.
the guy in the
Perfect.
ear, the guy in the van.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's so great. Oh my goodness. Well, I feel like, so I really started playing games just in general in like I said, 2012, 13-ish, somewhere in there. But it took a long time to work myself up, like my confidence and understanding like game theory and strategy, just enjoying it. Feeling more confident in playing games just in general before like a D&D would ever be something that I would consider doing.
Mhm.
So do y'all want to jump into how I started playing D&D?
Oh
Yes.
yeah, of course. It's what we're here for.
You're like, this is the show,
Ooh.
Okay, so let me think about timing. This was pre-pandemic.
So organized. It was very. There's spreadsheet. Were there actually spreadsheets?
Oh, I think Brian has a spreadsheet for everything. Yes.
I do. I really do need that.
Yeah.
The flowchart. I would love to see the flowchart of like strategically what he did.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to see if that's something we can send, maybe add it to the show notes. I don't know. I don't know. We shall see. But the funny thing is Ryan wasn't even involved in the acquisition of D&D, if you will. So I want to try to get the timing right, but I believe this was like January, February of 2019. And Ryan was out of the country for work. He was in South Korea. And typically every Tuesday at this point, this was pre-pandemic, obviously, we would go over to our friend Justin and Allie's house, Justin from the podcast. And we would go over there and play board games every single Tuesday. And like clockwork, we had been doing this for, I don't know, a year or two at this point. Playing much more complicated and, strategic games and like pretty heavy games. And one of the games we actually played was a campaign style board game. And it was to me, it didn't feel like D&D because I didn't know anything about D&D at this point. Of course, I had heard about it, but I didn't really know specifics or, mechanics of how to play. But the game itself is called Above and Below, and I can send y'all a link for the game. But basically, you go through this book as though you're kind of on this quest. So we would pick up every single week. We would jump back into the game, and we would just figure out where we were at in the story, like through the different mechanics of the game, until we beat like all 8 quests or type of things. So, and we really enjoyed it. Like we all super loved it. Typically we would just play 1 or 2 games a night, and that would be it. Like you would finish the game. But this was really our first kind of like long term, like a 2 or 3 month commitment every week kind of game. And all 4 of us really enjoyed it. And at some point, I think the D&D bug, probably from John, got put into Justin's ear. And he was like, I would really love to DM a game. And of course, he starts talking to Allie, his wife, about it. And for me, I was like, if Allie is interested, I'm interested, because she and I I think we're pretty similar in our like play styles and interests. And I think Allie basically said the same thing. She was like, okay, if Lynsey wants to do it, then I'll do it. So we're both like hyping each other up. But I thought it was funny because Ryan's completely out of the country. So I'm over there for game night. It's just the 3 of us at this point. And Justin's like, okay, ladies, what do you think about playing Dungeons and Dragons together. And I like looked at her and I looked at him and I was like, if she's into it, I'm into it. But Ryan's not here, so I'm just gonna speak for the Owenses. We're into it. Truly, I feel like I jumped in with both feet, knowing that I knew nothing. But I don't think I would have had the confidence to say yes to something like that. For me, it was just so foreign. Had I not had this like strategic journey into board games and then play all the way up to playing this like strategic campaign style board game. And it wasn't really an RPG, like not in the same sense as, a D&D campaign, but I think I was finally ready. It took, let's see, 4 years to get to that point of feeling comfortable with something that is quite a bit of an undertaking. Like, I truly didn't know anything about the mechanics, and obviously I can roll a dice, but like I don't know what all of these like advantages mean and all the different, saving throws and like, just initiative and like all of that, all of the mechanics. But we all basically learned together. So we very quickly started to kind of, get other people on board. So Justin's brother got roped in. So Brian, his brother, and Ryan, my husband, have played D&D before, but I don't know if they've played 5e. I actually am not sure. But it had been a long time since Ryan had played. Brian played with Pathfinder, and then I think a 4e game as well. I don't even know if I'm saying all those terms correctly, but
I mean, it sounds good.
okay. And I think this was Justin's very first time, DMing a campaign. So we were all just kind of cobbling it together and learning, together and, trying to figure out a backstory and what type of character we wanted to be. It was just like an open sandbox, as I'm sure everyone's first like step into D&D is just like completely open and exciting and all the things. So
It really depends on who your DM is. So when you have that
really,
like open sandbox experience, it's very nice and very genuine. Some people like to put people in boxes like, okay, you're the rogue, you got to do this, you got to do that. And
gotcha.
depending on who Justin played as being a first-time DM, I mean, I feel like as a first-time DM, you're just like, I guess you can do this thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, I know he has done so much research on, the different campaigns and making sure that it was something that we all felt, comfortable playing because I think, let's see, there were 7 of us to start. One person decided D&D was not for them, and that's okay. We still love him. But we, of course, we all met in person and we like got our characters built as minis on, that
Hero
is
Forge?
it Dice Forge or Mini Forge or what is it called?
Hero Forge.
Hero Forge. Yes, thank you. So I think that was really fun because we all felt more invested in our character, like being able to see and like make the decision on what they look like and having minis and he got maps and all the things. And it was so much fun. But like those first few months of us playing, it was rough. At least from a learning curve standpoint, because you're having to learn not only like your backstory and how you all like get into the tavern together and are like forming this bond to go on this quest to do this thing, but also just the mechanics of the game. I think for me as someone who's like never really played like an RPG game like that, it took me quite a while to process just the mechanics and then also try to play as my wood elf wizard Audie Elmwood, which that's still my character today, and we're 2 campaigns in. So I must tell you, and I know you know this, but maybe not all of your listeners do, we are playing The Curse of Strahd, which I know is the campaign that should never be named on this podcast, according to the last episode.
It's never not named.
It's never not named. That's the problem.
I know. I was listening
For our
to
drinking listeners.
to your most recent one, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have to drop that bombshell.
It wasn't
because
me.
we are currently in that game. Yeah. Oh gosh. So this is the second campaign that we've played. We really started this as we shifted from in-person to Roll20, of course, with quarantine back in March of last year. And at this point, I don't know that we'll ever be able to take it back in person because we're so invested in Roll20. And we have, Justin has built all of these maps and, different character, notes and like just all of these things that it would be so complicated to get it back onto the table in real life, even though we're all vaccinated and could, in theory, play together in person. It's just, y'all know, it's a very complex game with lots and lots and lots of layers.
Oh, yeah.
Some of which I'm like still confused on all the time because like the names all sound similar in my brain and
You are not the only person to do that.
Really?
I absolutely, I still am like, what do I need to do for this? And sometimes it's just like another person just saying it, and you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yes.
As for me, the character sheet is a nightmare to look at. I just have too many things to look at, and so I get real distracted. I'm like, oh yeah, and then I like spells, which is why the wizard that I'm about to play is so exciting because I hate spells. They're like, okay, it's the sandbox theory, right? There's too many choices for me that I don't want to make a single choice.
I totally get it. Yeah.
You afraid of one choice is the wrong choice. Like I could have had that spell and that kind of idea.
That could have been the crux that saved our whole thing, and then no, I absolutely not. I know now since I've had so many conversations about Dungeons and Dragons that it doesn't have to be like that. And usually the roles that you have, those are okay. Like it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so like what you were saying earlier, I have that perfectionism in me too, that if it's not perfect, why am I doing it?
Right. Yeah. Why invest the energy?
What's the point?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Even after all these years of like playing, there's some stuff that I'm unclear of. So I have like a rules lawyer in my party, and I just like, look, Joseph, I need your help. What's the ruling on this? And he's like, here's a tweet from the guys who create the rules. Here's the book entry, and here's this. And I'm just like, all right. He's amazing. Like, but ultimately, you're the DM. I'm like, okay, yes, or yeah, we're gonna skirt the edges of legality here, and we're just gonna do it the way I think it should go.
Yeah. But you have to know the rules in order to bend them, or break them too. So, yeah. And I think that ultimately, that kind of gives me some hangups as well because I don't know everything about everything in D&D, and I don't know that you can because it's so expansive, and there's so many different classes and different spells and abilities that I'm just honestly trying to focus on my own stuff and understand how my character can best aid the team as we, do things together. And I feel like we're just now getting to the point. We've all played together for the last 2 years on these 2 different campaigns. And I think we are just now at the point of being comfortable, one, kind of role playing a little bit and like adding in like character voices, and not really voices, but like speaking as our character as opposed to this is what I think I would do, kind of making it feel a little bit more real and being able to see how our specific skill set or ability can then impact or aid the group as a whole instead of like, for me, I love to fireball, because I'm a wizard. So I'm like, fireball, but being able to use that in a strategic way so that I'm not fireballing my whole team as well as everybody else. A strategic way. I love strategy. I'm a brand strategist. So like all I do for a living is think about like the best possible route for things, which again is I think why like Ryan had to approach board game entries a strategic way, because that's like my love language. I'm like, tell me the path and I can go along the path. But I don't want to like get myself all the way to like the ultimate board game as a baby nerd because I'm not going to be ready for that, which part of me still feels like I'm not ready to be in this Curse of Strahd, which is so funny because we've been in there for a year. But I'm like, this shit's hard, And yeah, but I am having a lot of fun with it. I don't think I would have ever found myself playing D&D if you had said that like 10 years ago. I'd be like, you're insane. No, that's just
Why?
But here we are. I think I was just scared
No,
of
no,
it.
no,
and
no.
I
I was
didn't-
like, no, no. I was like, you.
Yeah.
Why would I play it?
Right. Yeah.
What's the
Exactly.
point? Oh, it's for a boy. Awesome. Just kidding.
Oh, yes. And I married that boy,
Oh
So I have a question
No,
about.
but now honestly, like it has been such a saving grace, especially during quarantine. Like we made it every single Saturday night is our thing. We play from like 7 to 10 or 10:30, and it's built some really wonderful friendships that I don't know that I would have had like that level of experience with them otherwise. I think D&D is just an avenue to bring people together and do some really fun things,
Oh yeah, for
you
sure.
know?
Was there like an aha moment or this like moment for y'all as a group or a party where when you started role playing, was it like, hey guys, do you want to try this out? Do y'all want to role play on Roll20?
That is a great question. So, John actually joined our campaign as a like pop-up character.
Mhm.
Justin has been really cool about inviting some of our friends in to play, some of these like would have been NPCs, to kind of help bring some life into the campaign in a way that, it would just be fun. And John is really freaking good at role playing. He's very charismatic and had a voice for his character. And I think that was truly the first time that we could kind of see what the possibilities were. But we all knew that none of us could be as good as role playing as he is because he's a bard through and through to his core as a human being, like not just in the game. He's a bard, in real life as well.
Mhm.
So, and I think he just feels really natural and comfortable being this like outgoing person, at least in his role playing. So I think he kind of forced us to be a little bit more experimental with like showing up as your character instead of just saying what you were going to do as your character. So I think that was probably a big catalyst, at least for us as a group, because we were able to see what we could be like. And I also think that it just takes time. Like you just have to kind of try something and maybe fail at it and suck at it for a little bit. And I think there are certain instances where like maybe in the middle of like combat, it's kind of hard because all you're doing is like figuring out what your next move is. So you're not like really role playing as much. So like anytime we're like hacking and slashing, like that's not really an opportunity for us to like role play. But if we were going to the magic shop or like talking to like a pivotal character over a dinner party, or like we're in some weird puzzle where we're in this like death mansion. We're trying to like navigate how to get out of it with these NPCs. I think in the last, I don't know, couple of months, it's been easier and more fun to kind of just force yourself to put yourself out there a little bit. But no, I don't know that there was necessarily a big catalyst except for when John really like came in and like pushed his bard onto us hardcore, which was great, because I think it gave us someone to kind of play off of
Mhm.
as well, because he was speaking as his character. So we had no choice but to try to speak back to him as our character. I think that was really helpful for us, for sure.
I think
It's hard.
I think having a personality like John is definitely one of those, because he is a very like safe person to like just naturally,
Yes.
which is a great quality to have in any person.
Yeah.
But definitely to do something that's out of your wheelhouse, or are doing something that's kind of weird, and I'm pretending to be another character that lives on paper that I've created, that really, how much of it do you want it to be a 3D person? So I've seen it in my game where I've switched from, okay, these are the numbers, let's just hack and slash, and cool, we figure out the puzzle, let's go.
Uh-huh.
Into, okay, but why would my character do this? And then you're creating a character like, oh, I need a second. I need 1 second. Where,
Yeah.
before I've been playing this game with like, oh yeah, no, this is what we do. Bam. No thought through, but why would my character do that? And
Right.
it's like a big kid game versus
Yeah.
like An elementary level game.
Exactly. I mean,
Why I'm moving
yeah,
on.
yeah. Well, I mean, you take it from mechanics and understanding the mechanics of the game, which I think for me was the biggest learning curve, is just understanding how everything worked. And then from there, you kind of master or at least try to improve your mechanics. And then from there, you're like, okay, now I can unlock this like next level, kind of like the hierarchy of needs, right? Your basic needs have been met. And you're trying to reach that self-actualization, which is the top of that pyramid. I kind of feel like that's how it works in role-playing type of games. You know, you have to understand the base level of the game, which may take, for me, it took at least a year to understand, because it's a pretty complicated game for someone who's never played before, you know? So it's been really fun. But kind of going back to what you're saying, Alex, like if I had to do everything over again, knowing what I know now, I would build my character and my spells vastly differently. Because you're like a second level wizard. You've just leveled up for your first time ever. You're like, this spell sounds so cool, you know? I've never used half of my second level spells ever, you know?
Mhm.
I just don't. And that's okay. But I think at this point, having 2 years under my belt, I would be very interested in building a new character. Now, Justin, if you're listening to this, please don't kill off Audie. She's really great. But if she were to die, God rest her soul, and turn into a vampire spawn or whatever, I think I would be okay with that. And that doesn't mean that I don't have like consequences. Like I don't feel like that pain of like wanting her to survive, right? And like not wanting to die. But I think it would give me an opportunity to explore some of those spells. Having now I'm a 9th level character versus, you know, as you're building it for the very first time ever, you know, building it as you're learning the game. I I just feel like I would build my character differently, you know, and I think I would still want to be a wizard because that to me feels comfortable mechanic wise, but I would build her in a way that was a little bit more thoughtful based on whatever backstory it is that I wanted to achieve, you know. Because when I was first building this character, I'm like literally pulling stuff out of thin air. I'm like, I don't know, this is where she's from, and you know, she lost her family when this happened. You know, your like basic level backstory.
Yeah.
But
Everyone's got to be an orphan.
I know
We
it's
know.
Always
like
an orphan.
everyone is either an orphan or has like some troubled back history with their family. You know, which I think we all do.
Why would you go
Um,
adventuring if your life was good?
it's fair. That is so
What's
fair.
what's the point of leaving if there's
Yeah.
something to know?
Yeah, unless you're like so privileged that you just want to explore the other side of life or something. I don't know. But
Yeah.
most people
like a-
don't start out that way.
Oh, this would be a
Summer
fun
through
side activity.
Tuscany.
Right, exactly. Everyone's a little broken, you know. But that's what brings everyone together too, your brokenness. And it's wonderful. But yeah, I would definitely build her in a way that is different, just knowing what I know now. You know, and I think at some point I'll have another character and we'll play another game. But for now, I'm just trying to like do the best I can with what I got, you know. So
It's so wholesome. I enjoy this part of D&D where it's just like, you know, it's the way we go through life. She'll die and then I'll have a new character and it'll be great. Like
yeah. I mean, of course I'll be sad.
where Adrian and I are like, don't kill
Yeah.
us, please. We just spent all this time. No.
Right.
Do not.
I mean, I definitely don't want her to die. I've invested 2 years, over 2 years. I have a cute little mini. I've got a caricature drawing that Justin had like commissioned for our whole group, which is really cool. She's pretty awesome. What else do you guys want to talk about?
I mean, we've covered most of the things. I don't think there's like anything in particular. I did want to talk to see if you wanted to talk about the business idea you had. I don't know if that's
Oh, like the Twitch streaming graphics?
yeah. I don't know if you wanted to do that or not. We can do that,
Sure. Yeah,
and we'll plug that.
absolutely. Okay.
Because also, I'm going to see if I can get her to do ours when we start streaming.
Yes.
So, business idea.
Yeah. Well, okay. So all of this has basically stemmed from Justin wanting to stream on Twitch our D&D. And we originally made a Twitch account as like a collective board game thing to stream our board game nights. And I think all of that actually stemmed from this one kind of like fundraiser that he does through work, where they like play a bunch of games and, people like bid and donate towards like the nonprofit that they were working with.
The save a life, like
Yes. Right? Yeah, exactly. So he wanted to stream some board games. This was probably in 2018, 2019. So we built this Twitch channel called Tacos and Tabletop because we would often get Torchy's tacos and go play board games at their house. So it was a natural fit. And we streamed a couple of different games, like the Near and Far and Above and Below, which were the two campaign style board games that we were playing. We didn't do it super consistently, but like we just had a fun little, whenever it was set up, we would play and it was great. And then, the world shut down and we were already on Discord. All of us were watching, each other while we were playing in Roll20. So it just kind of naturally made sense to move that over onto a streaming platform as well. So if you go to twitch.com/tacosandtabletop, every Saturday at 7 Central Time, we stream our Dungeons and Dragons group. And it's been really fun. I think it's more for us to be able to like watch that back, again, like the previous week. I think it's really helpful for Justin, like just to keep track of everything as a DM. And, we've got some of our like spouses hop in there and they're like, "Oh my God, did you not know Strahd's right behind you?" In the chat while we're all, of course we're not watching the stream, so we don't get to see like the DM screen or whatever, but it's funny, for them to kind of interact with the game as well. But at some point, Justin was like, "Hey, I would like to commission you to make a stream background, like a legit stream setup." Because he was using some type of subscription service that he was paying like a monthly fee to bring it into, I think, OBS and, have like all of these backgrounds and just make everything look, pretty slick. But he was like, "Well, I mean, I have a professional designer on my team. Like, why am I not utilizing her skills?" And I know that he was willing to pay me, but he's like one of my closest friends. And I was like, "You don't have to pay me." And I bartered. I'm sure y'all have talked about it. I've bartered magical items within the game. I've not found any of the magical items yet. I figured y'all had.
What?
I have not. So I've currently not been paid. I'm just kidding.
I regretted my decision immediately.
Yeah.
No, he made it sound like he was just giving you magical items and it was all great and wonderful. But here we are finding out you have not been paid.
I have not been paid. Yeah, no. I mean, if he were anyone but one of my closest friends, I'd be a little ticked. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, I really enjoyed like putting this stream background together. I actually had helped Ryan put together his own Twitch stream background a couple years ago. He was playing Summoner's War on his phone and was streaming that on his phone. That's a whole other story for another day, but so this is technically my second Twitch stream setup. And it was really fun. I just kind of figured out the structure of what the screen should look like and made, little windows for all of our video to go in and just, kind of essentially branded what was kind of piecemeal together already. Made ourselves a little logo. It's in the shape of a taco. So it's Tacos and Tabletop, but the word taco looks like it's in the shape of a taco because I like warped the text. Mm-hmm. I can't help myself. I'm a graphic designer and I design logos for a living. I was like, well, I mean, I'm not really getting paid for this, not technically, so I can't spend a ton of time on it. But of course, I want it to look cute and like have some kind of purpose. Again, that goes back to the strategy. Why am I going to do it at all if I don't do it right? Mm-hmm. So, so I just kind of honestly, he gave me carte blanche freedom to do whatever I thought was cool. And it was really fun. And now, Adrian, it sounds like you might commission me to, in real dollars, Because I'm no longer just working for magical items here. I hate to tell you that.
She's not. She's not in my campaign. I can't. I don't have that leverage.
Right. I know. But it is something that I have explored, and you could be my very first client in that realm of Twitch design, which I think would be really fun. Most of the work that I do is for small businesses, entrepreneurs, and startups. But if I can bring my design skills into my creative hobby space and my friend sphere, I always really enjoy that too. So I'm here and available if anyone else listening needs a Twitch stream background. Just shoot me an email, hello@lynseycreative.com. So I'm sure that will be in the show notes because I spelled my name a little weird. So
How dare you?
I know. So of course you won't see any of this on my website because it's all geared towards entrepreneurs. But you could go to twitch.com/TacosandTabletop and you'll see the stream background that I've created for our group. And Ryan is not streaming anymore, so his is not active. But
Hopefully,
yeah,
online,
it's fun.
It'll be on ours.
Yeah, we'll have to talk. Well, okay, while we're here, do you want to just have a creative conversation about what it is you might want?
A consultation.
Yes. We'll just have our consult live.
So then you know how it goes, and then everyone who's a little anxious or worried or needs to know what they're getting into, this is it.
Perfect. So the first question I would ask is, do you currently have branding and a color palette or logo or design style that you're working with?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Heck yes. Perfect. All right. Check number 1. I figured you probably did because of the cover art on your podcast.
Yes. Thanks, Canva.
Yes. So good.
Please don't criticize the I cannot handle it. If you're like, this sucks,
no.
just don't tell me.
No, I am not one to judge at all. I think it's super cute. I love it. Yeah.
I did get really upset the other day.
What?
So this is a complete sidebar.
Okay.
I've been using this color, the teal color,
Mm-hmm.
just in my day-to-day, and I did not realize it until 2 days ago. There's a lot of things that are this teal color that have popped up in my life. I don't know how it manifested, and I feel very attacked. The new podcast and the new D&D podcast that I'm starting, we need to pick a ship color, and I was like, "Ooh, this teal color would be cool." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." I put the hex code in there. I open up my Discord, and I was like, "That's the same fucking color." No!
The exact same hex code?
The exact same hex code.
How? The odds of that happening are so slim because you have to have 6 different digits to get the hex code. There's so many variables in there.
It was
Alex,
just the perfect shade.
that is your color.
Can't.
That's your color. Hey, there's nothing wrong with having a signature color or knowing what you like.
Okay, it's the knowing what I like, yes. But it's just come up too many times. That's where I'm like, what? I have random stickers that are generally the same shade. It's a lot. That's
awesome. That's awesome. Hey, I get it. There are signature colors that either I gravitate towards as my own personal style, which is emerald green or kind of a rust color, or black, obviously. But there are often colors that I spec out for my clients that are almost always the same. I use this exact same charcoal. It's softer than black, but it's not a true gray. It's just kind of this muted black. And I don't know the hex code, but I know the CMYK code, and that's 2020-2085 if anyone wants to know. But I use it all the time. And it's the same with typography. I've spent untold amount of dollars on typography because I love it, and you can never have enough. But what do I gravitate towards the most? The same probably 10 fonts. I think it's just, what you like, and it works. And once you find something that works, it's if you have a shirt and it fits really well, you buy them in all the colors that work for you, which I did for my birthday last week, FYI. You just streamline your life, and you know what you like.
#30.
I was going to say the same thing. I was like, I know, Adrian, you don't know this yet, but that's what happens.
Give me 3 years, okay? Just give me 3 years.
Okay. Come on. No, but that's truly what happens. I think you reach your 30s and you're like, I'm tired of just making all these micro decisions. I know what I like. Give me more of that, please. But the fact that you have the exact same hex code is cracking me up, because truly that takes skill. Unless you were like, this is from this other color palette and you just like copied it over. That's the only way I can think about like you just somehow getting it the same. But
Well, I have it saved in Canva, right? So I have the fancy
Yeah.
Pro.
Yeah,
So it's saved there. I don't have to touch it, and that's why Canva is my life, because then it's all one place. I don't have to find them. I don't have to match them up anymore. Which is why it all looks the same.
absolutely.
I literally just Googled hex codes and teal, and I just happened to pick the same shade.
That's amazing. Kudos to you.
I know.
So for me, as a brand standards guru, I say kudos, because you're already passing my good client test, because you know what you like. You've got some standards in place, which truly makes it incredibly easy to translate your brand into a different medium, like on a digital space like Twitch. I think if I were to give any advice for people who might want to start their own Twitch stream or something, having some sort of brand in place is just going to make it so much more consistent and easy when it comes to developing something like that that's new. I think it's really easy to fall into the trap of like, ooh, this is cool and trendy, so I'm going to make this look like this other thing that I found on the internet. And then you don't necessarily translate that into all of your other mediums. And then everything looks kind of hodgepodge and inconsistent. So having like brand colors and the consistent typography that you use, templates in Canva, like having that as a consistent look, and then being able to translate that into a different space is just going to make everything look and feel similar and cohesive and totally fire and on brand. So I say kudos to you. It's going to be great.
What's your second question? If the color and
My
the brand.
second question.
Yeah,
okay.
Like to figure out what's your next step.
Yeah. So for a Twitch stream, you really want to think about the different elements that you might need. Not only like on the main screen, what type of content are you wanting to capture? Like your main, DM map. How many different video streams? The chat channel, like any other elements that you might want to have on that like main screen that you have all the time. And for a podcast, of course, it would be different. Maybe it's like the two of you side by side with something else on the bottom. Like, I don't know. That's really, this is the content gathering section. So have y'all kind of thought about like what type of content you might want to capture on your stream? Like the graphics wise?
Main thing that's on top of my head is definitely gameplay for a D&D stream, but also I've kind of flirted with the idea of like streaming the actual conversation, but it definitely have to be up to like it wouldn't be every day, but sorry, this is just me talking to Alex at this point.
I mean we're essentially having a business conversation at the end of this podcast episode, so
and those are the two things off the top of my head, just that, and maybe just the third thing would be just me creating stuff for my players. So like it would be just like one screen for me, and then the other just like the content I'm creating. So like a website for Roll20 or a Word doc or something like that. So those are the three things that I have in mind right now, content-wise. Other than that, I think I can't really tell what other kind of like arrangements or kind of positioning that I would need, or how many people.
Well, that's my job.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
That's my job.
Good.
Layout and structure. I just need to know what type of content it is that you want to have on your main screen. And then of course, if you want to have like a stream starting soon, or a be right back around break, or the stream is paused or offline, those types of like scheduling type of screens when you're not on the main screen.
Yeah, I mean, all that sounds great. The things that I wasn't thinking about. Okay. I think there'd be like a starting screen with just the DM, and then maybe
Uh-huh.
one screen where it's just me and then one other player to have like a fucking deep moment and just
Ooh,
just scary, just like now you know things are about to get serious kind of idea.
that's next level.
I'm just
That's
Feels like a
cool.
lot.
it
That
is a
feels like a
lot.
lot.
No, that's
I
cool.
love
That's
that.
cool.
No, I love that. It's just very I don't
Yeah.
Twitch, so like the idea is whatever I see, it's just like stagnant. It's like, okay, this person's playing, and you're like, cool, cool, cool.
Right.
I've
Yeah.
never at any point thought like, oh, this could be like a whole scene. This could be a whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially like a production. You can make as many different scenes as you feel you need in order to, tell that story. But what I would say is then like prioritize the different screens that you want, because of course each one would take time and effort,
Yeah, of course.
and the budget would go up for all of those. So, you know, really just prioritize what what it is that you need at like your base level, and then
Triggered.
you could always add on like those cool, the DM and a player having this heart to heart. So yeah, but that's really it. As long as you've got colors and kind of a style that's easy for me to then translate once we talk through content. So really that's kind of the gist of it. Um, kind of getting a sense for the type of content that you want to produce and having delivery of assets and stuff. So, but yeah, but if you're starting with nothing, I would kind of think through it as how do you visually want to represent the story that you're telling? And if you are creating a Twitch stream for one specific campaign, then you can have kind of a style that feels representative of that one campaign. But let's say you're like wanting to stream a variety of different games or topics, then maybe you make it more like a personal brand, and you're branding yourself as the gamer or as the DM, or as kind of like the vibe that you're going for. And then, maybe the colors are a little less specific than they would be if you're like living in Barovia in Strahd, where everything feels dark and gloomy.
Hmm.
So you can really gear it towards the type of content that you're, producing, through color and typography and things like that. But yeah, so yeah. But it sounds like y'all have quite a few like brand elements in place, and then we would just, figure out content, and then I would go in and structure it similarly like how I would structure a website. You just basically build out a framework, and you just wireframe like, okay, the screen for the DM needs to be about this size versus the actual play map versus the chat and all the different videos that you might need to bring in, and then just kind of structure it through there. And then we would skin on top of that the different like design elements and make color choices and type choices and things like that. So yeah.
Awesome.
Any questions for me while we're here?
No, I need to sketch this out before I just say I want all of this, and then just like that's 10 things, Adrian. I don't.
Yeah.
We need to really think about what we're doing here. It's like, no.
Oh, for sure. I mean, obviously I can build you the moon and back, but I think it's always easier to build on to something
Mhm.
than it is to like have this whole laundry list of things and then like you be overwhelmed with either how much time or how much money that costs too. So you can always start with the baseline of like, okay, we've got an awesome, main screen setup and kind of a, maybe a stream starting soon page. And then you can always add on some templates and kind of add in that flair, as you see you need it. So can always baby steps it.
I need that. I tend to leap into things.
This is true.
Leaping is not bad.
It's not
I
bad,
tend
you
to
just
be
need
very
to.
hesitant. So I'm often reeling my clients in. A lot of my clients are like, I need all the things. I'm like, do you really need all the things? Or do you see that everyone else has all the things and they're 10 years into their business and you're starting out day one and you have no budget? Because I can help you day one, no budget, but I'm not going to send you to like, I'm not going to force the 10-year plan on you if you're not there yet.
Mhm.
You can always grow and always add on things, but we just basically would treat it like any other design project I would. So
Awesome.
it'd be fun.
I'm excited.
Hire me. I would love this. Pay me in
I mean-
real money, not magical items.
That you never get. Dear listener, go
I
to
will.
Tacos and Tabletop and harass Justin and the gang,
Where
Lynsey
the
gets her magical items and gets paid.
And
I
then while
will,
you're there,
eventually.
subscribe. Why not follow? But also
Subscribe.
harass.
Interacts.
Yeah, no, Justin's doing a great job. We are just haphazardly wandering around a murder mansion right now. I'm sure y'all know Lady Fitadov's like murder party in the game. I don't know if you've gotten there or not, or if it's a spin-off or
I think.
what have
Say
you.
the name again.
Lady Fitadov?
I actually don't know who that is.
Okay. Okay.
Giving you
Basically,
a hint that I have is not on
basically
my book.
we're trying to solve this very magical illusionary puzzle. It's a dinner party and everyone dies at like midnight or something, and we're trying to find these two family crests and bring them into this like very elaborate hedge maze to be able to like get out of the illusion. And we've been in there for 2 whole days. I mean, 2 real days, like 2 evenings of play.
Gotcha.
2
Okay.
sessions, if you will.
Human
Yeah.
days.
Yes.
Human
2
days.
human days.
Not,
Yeah.
Not
2 human
elven
days.
or halfling a day. It's human.
Exactly. Exactly. So once we get out of this like time warp magical puzzle, I will probably be able to find some of my magic items, but pretty sure they're not in this illusion puzzle. So
Gotcha.
one day I will get paid. Hey, I'm the one that took on the exchange,
Yeah.
so I'm okay with it.
It's
I'm
all
okay with it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lynsey. It's been a blast.
Thanks for having me.
Do you want to
I,
re-plug your
what?
stuff real quick?
Yeah. So I am on Instagram and TikTok, which I've only had one TikTok, but you know, you can join me over there. I'm at Lynsey Creative, and it's Lynsey Creative. Also, lynseycreative.com. My email is hello@lynseycreative.com. If you are interested in a Twitch setup, let me know. None of that's on my website, so just send me an email. And yeah, Tacos and Tabletop on Twitch. We stream every Saturday, except for this coming Saturday because we're going out of town. So, you know, most Saturdays we do play. And you can watch us get our butts kicked. So it'll be great.
Awesome.
Anything else, Adrian?
I'm good. I'm golden. I'm just like years are turning. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta get a pen and pencil, but I'm on stream, so we gotta close it out so I can just
Catch it so it doesn't run away. Catch it.
Yeah. Oh.
Thank you, dear listener, for joining us for another episode. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at DNDegrees. Thanks to everyone who supports us on Patreon. We absolutely love you. And if you would like to join the fun and join the ranks, you can subscribe for as low as $3 a month.
I'm pretty sure it's 3, yeah. 3, 5, 10. 3, 7, 10? I don't know. We know our business model, right? Adrian, edit this later. Adrian, you got this. Just put in the dollar amount and just make it very obvious. It's humorous, okay?
Yes, very subtle.
Our 3 tiers are $3, $7, and $10 for our patrons. 3 gets you no ads, 7 gets you bonus episodes and no ads, and 10 gets you the former mentioned and a chance to be part of our monthly one-shots.
You can also join us on our Discord. We are hanging out, having fun, posting pictures of whatever you find. We definitely need some dog pictures, so please join us on our Discord. And if monetarily or Discord is not your jam, please support us by following and subscribing to us on wherever podcasts are found. Wherever you are currently listening, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. If you also rate us 5 stars, don't do anything less. Otherwise, you will never get paid for another job in your life. Go harass Justin on Tacos and Tabletop.
True. Well, thank you all so much for listening. My name's Adrian.
I'm Alex.
Go have some fun.